Straight to the microphone I go with the music, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone. Welcome back, Artist Journal, April 20th, a landmark day, 2023, broadcasting to the world from the high seas of the imagination in Berlin, Germany. My name is Adrian Pocobelli, and I welcome you back. And check out this awesome work by Karim Safa to start us off here, what I like to call a pixel art factory. He has an awesome title for it. Karim's out of the Netherlands, I just checked, makes these beautiful pixel art factories, sort of in the same province as Gogolitis. You know, you could definitely show them in the same show, and they're just awesome. These pixel artists that make these awesome, I almost want to call them data-esque machines, and here we have, the work is called Factory of Nothing. A poetic title, you know, you could argue a critique of sorts, artistically, in a fun way, poetically. Factory of Nothing, you could argue a critique of the system, of the machine, of capitalism, of industrialization. And so here it all is in a very fun, enjoyable way that kids can enjoy. But you can, it's kind of like The Simpsons in the sense that, like, some of the best art is, you know, hits that sweet spot where it's both avant-garde and accessible at the same time. And you could argue with a title like this, you know, there could be some pretty profound ideas going on here, or just a nice kind of very poetic concept. But again, it's the sort of thing that, you know, a 5-year-old can love, can look at and love. So yeah, that is the sweet spot. That's another reason I always loved Ballard, and he put a great emphasis on accessibility as well. The importance of accessibility. So that's something that pixel art really has, doesn't it? Let's take a closer look. This is I don't know if it's a Genesis work. It's the first work by Karim on Super Rare. I feel like maybe Karim has released other works on Foundation, so I'm not sure if it's the first work on Ethereum. But I love the description here. Factory of Nothing is a manually crafted digital animation that depicts an imaginary, automated manufacturing system that does not produce anything. So I love it. 1920 by 1080, so definitely scaled up here. There are 4 hours to go. It has a bid of 1.16, so big congrats to Karim for a great start here on Super Rare. And as you can see, this is the first work. So just a very cool work. And again, you see here, Factory of Nothing. You see how the box turned, you gotta love this. You know, like there's a lot of nice details and creativity in here. And over here on the top left corner where the boxes are falling, and even the little details here on the border here, which kind of grows out a little bit and then has all this pattern, what I almost want to call patternation, but it's probably just patterns. Anyways, super cool work here. So Karim Safa out of the Netherlands, Pixels and Sounds, and doing quite well to start out. Thank you everybody who came yesterday to the Rug Radio Artist Journal Twitter Spaces, and it was a ton of fun. Runetoon and Dr. Version shared their journey in New York, going to MoMA. And it was largely focused on MoMA. We also heard about the Whitney later in the broadcast, and these are all edited. So anyways, it's a great discussion if you're curious to just hear what people have to say about going to the museums these days in New York, and whether it's the lineup around the corner or, you know, the way that the big famous AI work in the lobby is shown. I think Rafiq Anadol, if I have the name correctly. So anyways, just a great discussion there. Thank you everybody for showing up. It was a great crowd. And these are available on Spotify. I've now added the link to the bottom of the description on the YouTube. So it's easy access. Also, the edited versions are on YouTube, which you may have seen. So thank you again. And next week, we're going to have Flora Marquez. So that should be wonderful. If everything goes according to plan, but that is the plan. So much to look forward to there. Just a quick comment from Runetoon here. Thanks for the shout out. I'm glad you picked up on all the texture. And I love this concept of digital texture that we keep running into here within the composition. This was something I put together after our talk with Hasdrubal I love how quickly you put it together, Runetoon, as well. Like Hasdrubal, I was very much interested in texture in my physical artwork and didn't know how to translate that to digital until the last year. Wine Service is a play with digital texture and randomness. So it's very interesting, isn't it? Because texture, we could argue by definition, is a physical thing, right? But we keep running into these works, and we see it with Uxine. And whenever you kind of get what I also call like a painterly look, that's when it starts to feel like digital texture, right? So it's just kind of interesting to keep running into this, and you highlighting it here, Runetoon. I'm glad you're highlighting it, because I just think it's a really interesting concept. And we're going to see a couple of Hasdrubal pieces today, so we'll see that. If you're not familiar, we'll see that in action. Nick St. Pierre with a really interesting comment here on Midjourney. Now, many of you may have seen this. This is one of those AI Twitter accounts that are, all the rage. But this one I felt we should highlight here, because this could be big. Midjourney's real-time drawing feature has only been mentioned a couple of times during office hours, but will be a game changer when it comes out. So this is not out yet. A drawing feature. I've been using Midjourney, frankly, all week, and it's kind of back to this. I'm all about the blend function. Once I finally abandoned the Imagine, or at least put it to the side and opened up the user guide, and then you see the blend function, and then it's much easier to get works that I would call persuasive. Otherwise, there's a bit of an artificiality to the works when I'm just using the Imagine prompt. I may not be a great prompter, though. But anyway, so it's all interesting. But as I use that, and then we'll return to this, but all of a sudden, with the blend feature, you can put up to 5 works together, off the internet, or your own work, which is a fun way to do it, and then combine them all, and then you start getting surprisingly persuasive works. And it recalls Gogolitis when he was in the Twitter Spaces in February, and I was asking him, "Do you use AI?" And he's like, "I've fooled around with it a little bit, but it kind of takes too long to get the renders." And I agreed, and I felt the same way. But once you use blend, that's using the Imagine prompt, but using the blend prompt, all of a sudden, it's with the results you're getting, all of a sudden it feels very fast. With all of a sudden you're getting 4, semi-persuasive works where you can start to say, I'll use part of that, I'll use part of this, and everything. So that is kind of opening my mind quite a bit in terms of what's possible. And I think that people like my girlfriend, who might not make a lot of art, or even my mom, with Combine, I think they can start to make persuasive works. So that is all very interesting. So now there may be a drawing feature. Imagine sketching on your iPad or Wacom tablet directly in Midjourney and watching your piece come to life in real time. I think this is a portrait of the future that we're seeing here. Right now, we have text and image prompts. With this feature, your brushstrokes and sketches become prompts too. And I'm not, if this is what they're talking about, I'm not huge on the reverse prompting. I've tried this as well, and I find the results are very unexciting, shall we say. If I take a nice painting, let's say that I find on the internet, a Picasso, I put it in and I say create, I think it's describe is the prompt, and then we get the description, the words, and then you put that in as your Imagine prompt. It doesn't really turn into a Picasso, unfortunately, in my experience, but there may be people who are far more experienced than I am on this. So right now we have text and image prompts. With this feature, your brushstroke and sketches become prompts too, and combining them all together in Midjourney is going to be revolutionary for many artists. And this is the portrait of the future here. Nothing so far on how it will work, but I'd love to have the ability to prompt my canvas before I start drawing with a general theme style I'm looking for, let's say a landscape. Layer control, say you put a sky on one layer, the grass on another layer, flowers on another layer, plus automatic segmentation of layers, kind of like SAM, ability to prompt and reprompt layers. Doesn't this feel like a portrait of Photoshop? I want to say 10 years from now, but maybe sooner. Individual layers and multiple at once, ability to draw on top of images, and version history, to name a few. So, I mean, you wonder what Photoshop, with this kind of integrating Mid-Journey type prompting, you see, I feel like we're seeing a window into Photoshop in what could be quite soon, surprisingly soon. There's no timeline on when this will come out, but when it does, it'll be big and likely convince many more artists and illustrators to start using AI. And I totally agree. And again, I'm kind of back to Blend. And once you start using Blend, all of a sudden you go, oh, I can work with this tool. And all of a sudden you're getting results that you can basically use as inspirational ideas. It's very similar to ChatGPT with writing and giving you a draft of something. And it doesn't mean you have to keep it all like that. It's just a really nice draft. And that's kind of what these things are doing with Midjourney. So anyways, continuing on, and ClownVamp kind of distills it very nicely. Big shout out to ClownVamp. AI-assisted art is a radical expansion, and this is the term, of creative access, and will cause utter wonderful chaos. I agree. And the world will be better for it. And again, I'm kind of back to, people that might not make art now can just put up to 5 images and put them all together of paintings from other stuff and come out with pretty interesting stuff, or work on their own thing. And maybe the work on their own might be okay. And then they combine it though with other stuff. And then all of a sudden, you're getting somewhere. So creative access. I just thought this was a really interesting term. Thought leadership from ClownVamp as ever here. And big congrats, speaking of AI, to Lily Illo, who is now on Super Rare. And so that is super cool. Chris Stoik, David Feinstein, Dan SRL, and 0009 helped her get there. So anyways, that's exciting. Almost overdue. I'm glad it happened. And it almost looks like Gary Gensler here, doesn't it? Which is kind of funny. And you got to love the AI hands here. So enjoy the errors, the AI distortions, as I like to call them, while you can. Don't shout out to Rinnyfish here with a cool work. Happy 420 from Rinnyfish. So there we go. GloomTube. So GloomTube has a new work, and you might recall the trash bag that was being painted yesterday. And I brought it up here. This work we showed on Tuesday, right? A trash bag I painted. So then this came out the next, when was it? Early this morning. And it is a trash bag also. So kind of playing off the painting, and we're seeing a different version here. So anyways, just kind of interesting and fun to watch GloomTube go physical here. And here's basically a self-portrait of the artist in the studio. And it's one of GloomTube's stamps and everything. Cool texture in the background and everything. Here it's using paper, basically virtual paper as texture. Another cool technique. Stamp number 28 from the stamp series. So edition of 150, buy for 250. They're probably sold out. Yeah, they all sold for Tezos 50. So that is cool. So here is the trash bag, which we already looked at. And here's some other works by GloomTube in Minecraft. So doing pixelation with these very small canvases, 8 by 10. So almost the size of an A4 piece of paper, a little smaller. So an interesting way to work, and interesting these almost, no background here, and doing a few. So you can see the wood here. It looks like it's almost all out of a few sessions here. This is from yesterday. So GloomTube is going physical. You really like the shoes here. So that is fun to watch. And here the McDonald's so anyways, this is all hilarious and great. And some trees and everything. So just fun to watch here. Out of Michigan. Shout out to GloomTube. Rare, we got a result here on the auction. So going for 4 ETH, $7,800 for Rare for the young spotsman. So big congrats on that. GN everyone, forever thankful. I'm able to share my work and people appreciate it. That's basically all it really comes down to as an artist, isn't it? So that is awesome. So big congrats there. Die with the most likes with some new works here. Pack your wallet, super rare account, with fresh ETH. Die with the most likes is releasing artworks. Join us for a curated conversation and with Die and the SR and the super rare team at 4 p.m. Thursday. So if you're watching this, you may be able to hear it. So there's a Twitter Spaces that you can join. And there's also going to be merch. So anyways, here is the work. And I think you have to use Rare Token to buy the merch. I'm not sure. So anyways, check the details there. But here are the works. So this is pretty edgy with the head removed here. The legend has retired. It's almost like a retirement day party. Quitting time. Yeah, so anyways, the brutal satire here continues. And that's hilarious here too. The light that a lot of people use for their Zoom calls. And I think I have one of those. And also here you see the ground beef spilling out of the cake. So whatever, I'm retired and all this sort of thing. So anyways, just more brutal satire as we enjoy and come to like from Die with the most likes. And here's another one. At first I wasn't sure what this is, but it looks like factories, which kind of goes with our opening image there, the critique. So another critique of industrialization and maybe of pollution that is going into everyone's nostrils and eyes and everything here, and almost a cigarette going backwards into someone's nose here. So interesting work from Die with the most likes. So anyways, big shout out to Die, a very nice individual, as many of us know. Check this out. So I saw this on Art News. Yesterday it was on the front page, like on the top story on Art News. A new generation of computer plotting arrives at pace via Tyler Hobbs. So this image here is hard to see what's going on, but it's using a plotter. Okay, so I made it bigger, and this gets pretty interesting because all of a sudden you see, oh, these are concentric circles and everything. And you see how beautiful this plotter work can be. I mean, it almost reminds me of Hilda Ann Clint. These kind of like, especially in here, I mean, it's kind of like a generative version, you might say, or generative feeling. I mean, it's completely different. But when you look at the colors and even just the light white on the kind of cream canvas, or it's almost like the raw canvas here, you wonder if there's any underpainting. Anyway, the plotters are looking just wonderful, what they're doing. It makes me want to run over and find out how I can find a plotter, because this stuff is awesome. And again, the alchemical transformation from digital to physical, because I think this is interesting, beautiful as a digital work, I would think. We don't have the digital in front of us, but as a physical work, it's kind of mystifying. It creates a sense of awe and mystery. Like, I think it feels like it would probably be, and pure speculation, but it would be probably be much more powerful as a physical work. Again, it's sort of like when you see, pixel art done physically, done well, is very powerful. Whether it's screen printing or maybe a plotter, right? Because you have that randomness. We're back to almost texture here. Strano, also kind of in the same, also using a plotter. So drawing as an eternal F machine, Maxwell length times Strano. So here, I believe, is the work. So a GIF. And what's so fascinating about it is you see the process here, a collaboration between an experienced hand and a servant machine blended into a perpetual motion leading to nowhere, addition of 20. So you see the artist working here, manually working, and I think we have an explanation here. It all started last year when Tim sent me some sketches, dozens of them. It was a pain and a joy to pick the right ones for this. I then redrew everything in vectors, trying to find the perfect density of lines for the machine. So there it's transformed the sketch into a vector, and here we go, another plotter. Off to the AXI draw plotter, the AXI draw plotter, did about 15 tests before getting the right one that I shipped to New York City for Tim to draw the missing vertical lines. So going from, I think, physical, the sketch, to digital, turning it into a vector, and then going back to physical with the plotter, and then I think Tim drew some missing vertical lines, and I think that's what you see here. So it's not just it's not a one and done. This is going back and forth. So super interesting. And again, we've mentioned this many times. Like, I think this is kind of, art and technology go hand in hand, and they kind of always have, and it seems like since like the late Warhol, I would argue, where we see, and I've mentioned that many times, where he's using traveling through the mediums, basically to me seems to be where the big picture contemporary art conversation kind of is from a process perspective, is playing with this interchange and interplay between the physical and the digital. Or even, I'd even be tempted to say more broadly, between different mediums. I mean, that's where Warhol was going, and maybe now it's more about the digital being incorporated into that conversation that Warhol was having, which Richard Prince also shares with his inkjet nurses that he paints over top with his, liquid acrylics and heavy gel gesso and all that, or heavy gel medium, Liquitex, okay, I suspect. So anyways, so putting so drawing over top of these then, I think, was what's going on here. And then put into After Effects. I masked off my lines. Inside After Effects, I masked off my line to only keep tims, which are used as texture, as a trigger for the wiggling line effect. A couple of layers of compositing and animation was ready. Final GIF was exported using Photoshop to optimize to 15 megabytes. Now there it is. Okay, so pretty interesting, isn't it? No simple image. No simple image at all. So anyways, very cool. And there everybody is loving it. So here it is on Object. Drawing as a eternal F machine, digital and analog play the surrealist game of Exquisite Corpse. So interesting. Now, of course, Exquisite Corpse is where the game that the surrealists created, for those that don't know, where I might draw the head, you're drawing the torso, and then we just have to make sure the lines meet up of my drawing and your drawing. Maybe we set that out ahead of time, and then you draw the torso, and then someone else draws the legs. We put it all together. It's the Exquisite Corpse. And it seems here that Strano and Maxwell linked are basically saying this kind of interplay is a kind of exquisite corpse of sorts. Interesting analogy. From hand to pen plotter drawing, shipped to blend back by hand, scanned and animated. Total riff. So very, very cool. Now 396 Tezos. So the market, kind of a tribute to this market here, is the market is recognizing the value here of what's taking place. So that is cool, and maybe not a shock to anybody. Look, a sale for 222 Tezos. It's not just a listing that's high, but, selling for very nice amounts. So all to say, what do we, to me, the takeaway here is let no one say this is an unsophisticated scene or an unsophisticated market, because there is still a perception out there that NFTs are, monkey, JPEGs and this sort of thing. And with and like I was at a dinner thing like maybe 2 or 3 months ago. It was actually before Christmas. And there was someone who's totally interested and open-minded, but just saying like, but what about, NFTs? Like, isn't the art terrible? But they just don't know. I mean, that's kind of why this show, part of the many reasons that this show exists, is kind of highlighting all these things, because this is so easy to just kind of go right past you, if you're not reading every little thing on Twitter. Okay, speeding along here, Dr. Version with an awesome, in case you were wondering what the Glitch Beyond Binary show looks like, I mean, here it is. Congrats to curator Dina Chang and Let's Glitch It and all the artists. Very nice work. This is how it should have been done the first time around. Tukes, Uxine, Sabato, Inavare, and Sky Goodman. So Dr. Version puts together an awesome video here. Glitch Beyond Binary. So here it is, Sotheby's. Right from the door. You can't ask for anything more, really. And here there's Tukes. There is Uxine. It's an interesting, you see there's Sabato. I mean, you see the struggle to display all this stuff, even for Sotheby's. In Avare, there's Sky Goodman. You wonder if it's cropped. right? So even Sotheby's is struggling to display digital art. And there were some comments on that. Let's actually check on that. I think this is that same, I'm not sure if it's the same show, but soon Sotheby's from Xerox. And yeah, so so I don't know if this is the same show or a different show, but anyways, so as you can see here, and yeah, and here the work is sideways. Anyway, so that is happening. Sky Goodman. So today is the auction, actually, finally on the Glitch Beyond Binary. Today is the day auction for the recurated Sotheby's verse show Glitch Beyond Binary. Goes live at 2 Eastern Time today, and that was done yesterday. Super proud to be amongst the many all-stars, so many epic works in the collection. And here is Sky Goodman's piece here again. So very cool. And also, so another interesting display here, this time from Lorna Mills. Or of Lorna Mills' work here. So this is Known Origin. The team at Known Origin is also attending the super rare event at NFT New York City at the Oculus Center, featuring Brend and Oz. Amazing. And so here you see, gonna mute the music here. Here you see the party. Looks like a good time, but this is what I wanted to highlight. You see the Lorna Mills piece there behind the DJ. That's a pretty interesting display, isn't it? So that's cool. People are getting creative with the displays. And we saw other works at NFT New York City also displayed like that. And while we're on Lorna Mills here, she put out a beautiful work here on Twitter. I couldn't find it on Minted anywhere, but just a really nice work with big chunky masks that apparently someone asked her how she does it. She does it all manually with the marquee tool, which is the square kind of selection tool in Photoshop. She does it all manually. So that is pretty interesting and a really, really nice work. I love her landscapes. I'm a big fan. And here, so this is the, I think it's called the Async exhibit. Here are some of Uxine's works that were minted. This was done by Mondog. So just another beautiful work by Uxine here. Here you see kind of playing with these distortions and a lot of the ASCII text. So again, taking it to that next level, because I think a lot of artists will go to the ASCII level. But what's great about what Uxine is doing is he takes it at least one step further. But when you do, because if we see ASCII just plain, well, we've seen that a lot, and okay, how hard is that, and this sort of thing. But when you see it taken one step further, all of a sudden you can take any image and then you can, give the process. So it's all about kind of pushing it that next step sometimes. And I think that's what we see with Uxine, because now Uxine can remix his work endlessly and come up with beautiful stuff. So it's all about kind of pushing it that one step further. And here you see over here these distorted ASCII text things. And anyways, with trademark colors, here's another one using almost like a glitch tool here. These kind of scan lines here, stretching, So anyways, just beautiful textures here. Beautiful. Again, we're back to digital texture. I mean, it looks painterly. This looks like a silk screen. And how magical is that? Because I don't think it's a silk screen. It's a digital work. This is someone else, Uncle Pennybags, just minted a Forever Supper by Async Art and picked up the Uxine pack, an artist I've been meaning to collect for a while. My favorite part about it is the many NFTs can exist wholly outside of Forever Supper 2. Congrats to the team. So anyways, here's some more. And here is some more. And I think we might have missed. Let's just look at the other. Look at this. So Forever Experimenting is one of these commenters pointed out here from Uxine. And, and this is the thing. I mean, and just applies. He makes it so simple. It's like, okay, let's just put some digital noise. You need me to make a version of this? No problem. Just done. Okay, we'll do some more. I mean, a really great artist. Makes it look so easy. And here also, so these minted for only 0.09 ETH. I'm not sure on edition numbers and everything. And here is actually the page. So anyways, just really cool. And so a lot were minted out. 48 packs remaining. So I'm not sure if you can still mint out some of these, interestingly. And a couple of more, just while we're on Uxine here. Couple of more just like putting in different treatments of basically a book on fire. It basically looks like a book, right, with a couple of colors here, maybe even drawn out, and then a fire in a few different, maybe 4 or 5 different variations with some ASCII text, and then you just make one of the things, you just show all the different layers and everything. So anyways, just more beautiful work. It's working like magic here. And here's just more digital texture using a different technique, right? So Uxine is in the zone and this beautiful matte black. And look at that, trademark there. So beautiful. Also from Async, so Uncle Pennybags minted some other stuff. I just minted Tension by Neurocolor for Async Art Final Supper. And I think this piece is massively underappreciated. An amazing example of digital abstract art with unmistakable neuroimagery. It's at most an edition of 26. As of now, the only other collector is Basilius. So there may be opportunity, for the collectors out there that watch this show, there may be opportunity on this whole series here, this Forever Supper series. Kim Asendorf. I just came across this on Twitter. I think Lorna Mills may have retweeted this, and I thought it was just a nice looking work here. Interesting, original. I think it said Kim Asendorf. So just kind of an interesting, digitally noisy GIF. I mean, very art, this is an art GIF for sure. Zero Lexa. Honestly, the series is some of the best art I've seen in a while. Where can I buy? Oh, here it is. Yeah, so I went to this page. I actually couldn't find it right away, but I'm sure it's there. So anyways, Kim Asendorf is the account, and Event Horizon seems to be the title. Check this out. Some more financial themed work from Spiegel's Maschinen. And this looks like a printing press. Awesomely done. Awesomely done. And this is on Foundation, and we see some dollar bills coming out. So the master at work here. What is this selling? And great title. Fountain. Fountain, simultaneously alluding to Duchamp, but also alluding to the money kind of splurging out. Fountain. Great title. ATM banknotes printing press, 320 by 240 pixels, so quite a small original work here. Sold for 3 ETH. Maybe this is an old work. Oh no, April 20th, so this all just got, I guess it was minted on April 4th. I didn't even see that, but once it got moving, so this is interesting, isn't it? Just from a pure market perspective, so listed for 1 ETH, buy now price set for 2, reserve changed to 0.75, so lowering the reserve, it goes for 3. So isn't that interesting? So kind of a lesson for all of us to lower our reserves, isn't it? I mean, I don't know what the other takeaway from that could be. I mean, as long as you have people attention, and if it only goes for 0.15 or whatever the first bid is, that's okay. Then he's still getting 0.75 for his work and he's surviving. Kurt Hustle Collective, and this was transferred to Haiti Rocket. And this belongings number 1 of 10. So remember we saw the screensaver last show. So I think these are taken, those are stills, I think, from this work, if I'm not mistaken. Big shout out to Kurt Hustle Collective, who sent me a message kind of helping me understand what's going on, and who are just friendly, really cool artists. Here's some more computers. And is this a screensaver too? It's classic retro tech, and it's got that nice kind of bitmapization, a little bit of dithering, I guess we could call that. Screensaver Suite 001. So another screensaver, kind of retro 90s look to it. Looks like a Pentium personal computer here. Available for 15. Did this sell out? I think it did, for 2 Tezos each. And others here, Intermission. I think this is also a screensaver. So more work by Kurt Hustle. That looks like a fax machine on top with some skeletons in there. And here is a video. Let's just put that up there.
Have you been experiencing any extraterrestrial activity within your brain recently? If your answer is yes, then we may have contacted you for a reason.
A bit of a weird one.
To find out more, call now.
It's always weird.
900
19. 900.
Brought to you by KHC.
I wouldn't be surprised if they know who this guy is. You know, like that's how elaborate they can be. So pretty cool. It's all powered by Kurt Hustle Collective Enterprises. So it looks like the organization is growing by now for 25 Tezos, and there are 10 left. So very impressive video. And I was looking, they tweeted out something on Instagram. Actually, they posted something on Instagram with this address in it. So I went, napsco.world, and they have a whole website here, syncing neural net. And there it is. So about, and you know, neural, so it's pretty hilarious. I mean, I want to contact these guys. I wonder if that works. Maybe I'll find out here. And so anyway, sync now, and there's that video. So very hilarious and cool as ever. Very 90s website there. LB with some new work. How are we doing for time? Got to run through the rest of this here. The Same Dream. Another beautiful title here. So cool kind of glitchy video from LB, The Same Dream. So very cool, available for 4 Tezos and many left, 14 left. So you can still get that. And Ex Mortal with a 1 of 1, more noise studies. This one's beautiful. That went to 8so. So also you gotta love it when fellow artists are buying your work. Let's see if we can get this working. Will this work? Ex Mortal noise study, here we go. So this is a GIF, not a video, interestingly. And look at how great this looks. Like a really, really nice, again, for 15 Tezos, nice and slow. There's something to be said for that. Now that might be my computer. Here's the faster. This is actually what it's like. The slow was actually quite interesting though, wasn't it? You could even adjust the speeds theoretically. Anyways, it looks great. So another noise study. Here's another one. Buy for 69. Is that on secondary? Yeah, from 8so. So 8so bought both for 15. This is beautiful too. And of course, 8so makes beautiful video art as well, that Modern Furniture series. So again, it's always a huge compliment when a fellow artist kind of doing similar things appreciates what you're doing. This is DJ Kiro. So let's see if this one loads up properly. Kind of a glitched out, a very short, here, let me restart this. And play. Almost looks like an anime thing, like a Sailor Moon type thing. In the background, kind of glitched out and everything. So very cool, edition of 10 for 2 Tezos, and 9 still available. So you can pick that up. 1 has sold, so brand new here. Actually, April 11th, so may not have got the exposure. So this is by DJ Kiro. So very cool, nice work here. Hasdrubal Waffle. This screams Devo to me. So another, reference that I think we both, and I could be wrong, but Uglato, you a bad tomato. This screams, there it is, devolution. There it is. I think we're right again on that one. Hasdrubal Waffle. And I never would have guessed Devo from the work here. But anyways, really cool references from Hasdrubal Waffle. And here's the texture that we're talking about. These different kinds of brush strokes. Again, for those that don't know, Hasdrubal Waffle uses often these like JavaScript programs in tabs on his browser, as he said. And I highly recommend, if you like Hasdrubal Waffle's work, and Mario Paint and other kid pics was highly recommended. I'll have to check that out. I highly recommend the spaces we did. And again, that's on Spotify and YouTube with Hasdrubal Waffle. Let's just see what happened here. There's an auction, went for $28.29 for an edition of 3. That is great. And so Hasdrubal holds on to a couple. And here's another one with some music. And Little Cakes was bringing that up in the spaces that we had. ComSec, hello operator. Let's see if we can get some kind of experimental music. By now, for 40, let's just see, Bridget, New York City, who's also a huge fan. Shout out to Bridget. Ile has a couple. Little Cakes has one. Yuri J. Santiago, all familiar faces here. NZFS. It's a really nice piece here. It really transforms the work, the music. Like it makes it very museum-esque. I mean, some of you might know Kindle out here, it's like a contemporary art kind of space that's pretty well known in Berlin here, in Neukölln. This would go beautifully in that space with the music. The music, the work would go, it would work the first time, but with the music, it would be completely persuasive. I think people would love it. Seems to be a self-portrait of sorts, with smaller and smaller Hasdrubal waffles. So again, more doodling and probably all sorts of Easter eggs, as he calls it, hidden within the work. Here's one from NZFS, who I'm starting to think is Santiago again. So the mystery with the identities continue here, because this screams Santiago. And this, what's interesting about this work? It looks like a Santiago work that is photographed, a photograph of the work on the screen. And it kind of looks also like a computer game. I mean, it almost reminds me of Ultima 4, a subject I've depicted many times, although it may be something different because the castles here might be a little bit more elaborate. But one of those video games where you're kind of looking down at kind of a 45-degree angle. So a very fun subject matter here. And it looks like the photograph of a screen. Again, traveling through the mediums here. And, these little textures underneath, so very interesting. The Cultural Revolution 5, interesting title, 1 Tezos, edition of 25, 17 left. Very cool piece. This is Santiago, the account we know as Santiago, set of symptoms knitted out of time. This is my tribute to Sean Luke's work. So that is cool, maybe a remix of sorts. Would hang well with that Hasdrubal waffle. And you see, again, it reminds me again of Ed Marola with the pixelate, not worrying about the crisp pixels. So it continues to be super interesting with all these artists over here, isn't it? So many directions. I find it so inspiring. I mean, after looking at all this stuff, I want to try 10 different things. There I'm with Midjourney, but then I want to, the plotter, and then you want to, so anyways, then I want to try Kid Pix. I mean, that's, there's so much going on in this scene. It's so exciting. Color. I'm not sure if we've ever looked at the work. I think I saw this on Twitter, just a cool abstract work. It kind of looks like the same software that Hasdrubal might be using in the background. You see this large pixelation and just the noise. I could be totally wrong about that, but kind of looks a little bit like Hasdrubal's backgrounds a little bit. I could be totally wrong on that. So color. And let's just take a quick look here. The first work. Have I decoded? Is this a Hasdrubal account making art on the internet? Pixel Cowboy. Follow. So new account. And this also has a bit of a Hasdrubal influence, one would think. This is Legojo, so big shout out to Legojo 7, 2B2T, and this is using DPaint, and it seems to be a screenshot of DPaint. So with some cool pixelation kind of moving in the background. So anyways, great to see Legojo making some work here, and a screenshot. So that is kind of cool here too, and there's Legojo 7 signing it. And there, of course, is the early kind of Photoshop type tools. I mean, I assume DPaint came out before Photoshop. Imposter with a work called Impulse. Try as we might, we all go in the end with these figures being kind of vacuumed up by whatever this is, inertia. So kind of a metaphysical work here a little bit. So interesting work. 150 Tezos, that's probably on secondary from 1,000 lands. Let's just see what happened here. Accepted offers of 34, so it went for a pretty penny here at 30 each for an addition of 20. So nice work from Imposter there. Stars Wormhole from ZOXO. So more of these kind of Mario stars working with these. And just really interesting work here, isn't it? Again, feels like a contemporary art gallery and using like what seems to me to be like Super Mario references. So just really interesting and cool, isn't it? So open edition, only 7 minted, Tezos 30. Another kind of interesting work, kind of reminiscent to Karim Safa and to Gogolitis, but different. And here we go, this is Dom and some pixel art, and it's kind of like a really rough version. And there's the Twitter and the Discord, and I'm not sure, maybe this is Web3. So kind of a really rough treatment with what seems to be a gradient in the background here too. I could be wrong. Maybe that's my screen. I can't tell. It seems slightly darker on my screen here, but I'm not sure. That could just be my screen here. mech.txt, slowly getting my pace and refining my stamina. So big shout out to mech.txt, tweaking foundation drop mechanics for small card gacha. So anyways, just kind of cool pixel artwork as usual from mech.txt. Doing very well there. RJ with more concept art. We're starting to see what I consider concept art. Let's see. Is this concept art? Office culture. Have you cleared your inbox lately? So this is a one of one for only 50 Tezos from RJ. A man once fell from an 8-story window, and so a bit of a text, new messages. Seems to be stretching. Like here it's kind of like what I want to call a semi-cubist kind of composition here. Interesting experimentation from RJ, isn't it? At auction for one, office culture, another cool title. Check this work out. Let's see if we can get it working. So I feel like we know who this artist is. Score. Of course, it's Score. So interesting combination of this very kind of digital, hard-edged, what I call digitalia, just pixelation and whatnot, just hard-edged moves with a soft kind of drawing. And you see it here. I mean, so just super interesting work as ever from Score. Let's see what happened on the market here. Current bid 0.3, so the market likes it. And so 0.3, I mean, Ethereum's almost at $2,000. I mean, it's $1,900. So 0.3, even 0.1 is not bad these days, right? That's something else we have to keep in mind as artists. Like the price of ETH does affect. So 0.3, you're talking like $500-600. Not bad. Not bad at all. And just a cool animation here, kind of illustrated animation from Mirai Mizue, who I don't think I've seen before. Now I want to make an exciting music video. So cool, just kind of almost, I guess it almost looks like kind of Japanese illustration style here, almost like those fish that you often see that I can't remember what they're called. Anyway, cool work from Mirai Mizue. Do we have any more information? Let's just see. Yeah, it looks like Japan, yahoo.co.japan. Very cool. Cool artist. So anyways, continuing on, another artist I've never seen before, found on Twitter, Mimu. Sorry, I can't see you through these tears. What I thought was so interesting and kind of bold about this was the semi-hard-edged illustration here. It almost looks like a photo of a screen again. Like slightly out of, kilter though. Like you can see the blue edged. It's almost like slightly glitched out, I'm tempted to say. And then the tears are done so softly, so you get this contrast between kind of the hard-edged illustration and the tears, which are kind of done with a lot of gradients. The illustration versus kind of like it's a different treatment, creating an interesting contrast, but also looking like an old TV or something, old screen. So really interesting work. Edition of 5 for only 5 Tezos, 2 left. So another one for the collectors there. Good Cat in the Pool, Horomox. So Horomox is the artist. Another just edgy work here. Look at this experimentation. I mean, it's so vibrant what is happening here. So here's a cat walking with all sorts of different brush marks and almost like this printing pattern and everything. Super interesting. Stretched out background there. Anyway, edition of 5 and burned. So 0 left. Now, it looks like some people got some. Let's just look at the owners here. So yes, there are 5 left. So interesting. When did this come out? July 13th, 2021. So this is an old one. This is an old one. So anyway, I just saw that on Twitter. Some of these might be old. Like here's one I also found on Twitter. Had my eye on this piece for a while. Glad to give it a new home. Collected on secondary. Your Love by Ileo Givel. And abstract artist on Super Rare. And quite a few followers. So I think maybe we've seen this artist before, but anyways, would hang really well with Antonio Loves. Big shout out to Antonio. This work would hang beautifully in the same room. So just kind of what I am always tempted to call like surrealist illustration here. Tito with another one. T-Toys 90, Lost in Purple. This is from yesterday. And a beautiful sun here and kind of a surreal work as well. It was someone walking down a staircase that is a skull and maybe some pearls on a woman's neck here. So anyways, lots going on in a landscape. So kind of reminds me of the other one, just kind of wild illustration here. Edition of 8, let's just see what's happening, just minted. So not listed yet, interestingly. And Flora Marquez, again, who will be on Twitter Spaces next week, hopefully, if everything goes according to plan, April 17th. So this was a great one. When I see the clouds move, reality becomes psychedelic. So I'm not sure if this is still available, but playing with flowers and some leaves here, this actually moved. Yeah, this sold. When I first loaded it up, it was available. So it took a couple of days, but these do all sell. And here was an interesting post. So we've been following Flora's journey here since January when she started posting every day. And so here, this is inevitable. Today is one of those days when the daily drawing doesn't come so easy. I'm tired, I just got home, and I still don't know what I'm going to do. Send me strength to finish it before midnight, going down the rabbit hole. So there it is. So great work, Flora, and continues on. So delivers. Sometimes it's just all about delivering. It's about showing up, as they say. So anyways, very cool. New one from Rustic Digital Art, and this is available for 5 Tezos, still 9 left, so slow to go. Almost looks like a Joni Mitchell type character. Press start and a Mario box on top. There's a Duck Hunt reference and maybe some hearts, maybe another video game. And the reverse sky. The clouds are sky and the rest is white. So, but you could imagine actually a sky like this. Very cool. From Rustic Digital Art, edition of 10. Interesting work from Bolin. So just an interesting collage painting work from Bolin. This is a 1 of 1, and this sold for only 9 Tezos. So pretty nice work here. Looks like a bit of AI is involved there too, doesn't it? Zayo Siwa. Here is a new AI artist, or at least new for me, that is out, and I have a few of their works here. And so, yeah, so you're going to see the similarities between the works and what is going on. So some really nice textures, similar compositions, okay? So it's almost like you're getting different outputs of a similar input, shall we say? Because you see across here, and here's their account, Zayo Siwa, and yeah, you see there's kind of a similar composition. So playing with maybe similar inputs and different combinations, perhaps. I'm guessing blending, I'm not sure. Anyways, so really cool, good looking work here with just numbers on it. And so anyways, very painterly, nice textures. Has a bit of a DAL-E feel to it, but I'm not sure about that. And continuing, and just a few more. So there you have it. So really interesting work. And again, we're kind of back to this a different take on texture, taking the emulation of physical brushwork done by AI. And I'm pretty sure this is all AI. I'm pretty sure this is AI. It's not explicit here, but I think it might be on the account. Let's actually very quickly look. Playing with AI and digital painting. So yes, in fact, it is AI. So very cool here. And Lily Illo. So with a couple of 1 of 1s, Wallflower. So, trademark, loving the hands here and the beautiful painterliness of the background. Beautifully done. And maybe it's a portrait of sorts. Because again, this is the thing. Like I'm just starting to experiment here, but you can start taking pictures of people you know. I guess that's how people made, like my profile picture, EdgeQ. Maybe that's using the blend. I don't know. So anyways, very interesting, beautiful work here from Lily Illo. You gotta love the hands here. More AI distortions in the hands. Another one, Sewing Through the Night. So very nice work here. Now, this is a thing that I'm still figuring out, which is how to upscale. Because the outputs you get, at least on Midjourney, are quite small. So that's a whole other thing. I think there's topaz.ai. Maybe that's the one that you use for making it quite large, because those are huge files for AI. Mr. Shapeless with a couple on object. So it's kind of some portraits that Mr. Shapeless seems to be kind of almost testing out on object a little bit here. Very cool. This went for 50 Tezos. How long did it take? 13 minutes. Gotta love that. And these are probably just like AI outputs. Face of the Future number 3, another one. available for 50 Tezos. This was just released, so very cool. And Eile with a nice work, Harlequin Dream, pink sleeves, so a very painterly work. I suspect that Eile is using DAL-E, because usually DAL-E has these very textured brushstrokes from my experience here. So we are starting to learn along the way, hopefully. I don't know if I'm totally right on that. Venta times AI. So Helicon fields. That reminds me of that great Orbital track. If you don't know that one, that's a 90s classic. I think that's what it's called. Helicon on and on, maybe? Yeah, anyway. Bring us back to our youth here. Anyways, some beautiful AI work from Venta. Again, kind of has this autumn cannibalisms by DALL-E feel to it, which I mention very often with Venta's work here. Has a real kind of autumn cannibalism feel to it. So very cool. And here's some physical work, Nicola Petek posting Dennis Scholl. So I'm not sure if we looked at Dennis Scholl before, but I thought this was a pretty cool work here, reminiscent of those other works we were looking at just the other day. So interesting. And this is, I believe, Ed Marola working physically here, I believe. And so just that is looking very nice. And Ollie Izakowski with a very nice physical work. Good morning, all. Made porridge again. I also make art. Here's my latest. Have a great day. So give Ollie a follow, because Ollie is positive and having fun. I think this is physical. It kind of looks like paper, but I'm actually not positive on that. So anyways, maybe it's a combination. Maybe it's a photo of physical processed digitally. Anyway, looking great. This little triptych here by Ollie Izakowski. And of course, this is super interesting too as we continue this whole show. So much of it had to do with physical and digital kind of colliding, right? And here's Walk. Shrek, spray on paper, masterfully done as ever. Reserve price 0.5 ETH, physical included. I could also see this becoming a bit of a thing. So just the spray paint master Walk here in action again. I've ended so many shows with Walk because they're so well done. Anyways, thanks everybody for coming out. Until next time, take care.